shocking psychology behind Harry's jealous rants about Prince William in Spare. If you've been following along, you know we've been diving deep into the, shall we say, complex motivations behind Prince Harry's social memoir, Spare, and we recently looked at some fascinating psychological angles. And honestly, the more we look, the more puzzling it all becomes. Many of you commented, asking, why? Why all this public airing of grievances, especially towards his own brother, Prince William? And it's a question worth asking, isn't it? Because, on the surface, with all the privilege and opportunity Harry has, the level of discontent he expresses seems almost unbelievable. But as the experts pointed out, sometimes the most intense emotional battles aren't fought in the public eye, but right within the family walls. And today, we're going to peel back another layer, looking at how deep-seated psychological forces, particularly sibling dynamics and a relentless need for comparison, might just be the real fuel behind this explosive narrative. It's not just about the headlines, it's about the mindset. And frankly, it's quite shocking when you consider the implications. So, buckle up, because we're going to explore the raw psychology that might just explain why Spare is causing so much pain. Hello, and a very warm welcome back to my channel. Now, think back to what we discussed about sibling rivalry. It's a common human experience, right? Siblings competing for parental attention, for resources, for status. But when you add in the unique pressure cooker of the royal family, where one sibling is literally born to be king, and the other is, well, the spare, things get infinitely more complicated. The psychiatrist in the clip touched on the idea that this kind of competition can lead to a relationship dogged by enmity. Doesn't that phrase just resonate with what we've seen unfold? Harry's book is full of instances where he describes feeling second best, less important, less favored than William. He talks about the differences in their upbringing, the perceived favoritism, the way William was groomed for his role while Harry felt adrift. Psychologically, birth order theory, while not the be-all and end-all, does suggest that the firstborn often leans towards conformity and authority. Think William, steady, traditional, preparing for his destiny, and the younger sibling, often more rebellious, looking to carve their own path, sometimes feeling sidelined or misunderstood. Does that sound Harry seems to feel that he was constantly in William's shadow, judged against William's path, and that the system itself, the institution, favored William. And in his mind, perhaps, this wasn't just personal. It was a systemic unfairness that he felt compelled to expose. But exposing it in such a raw, personal, and frankly, cutting way towards his own brother, that's where the psychology gets really fascinating, and for many, deeply uncomfortable. One of the most powerful points raised was the comparison effect. It's a fundamental psychological truth. Our happiness isn't just about how objectively well we're doing, but how well we're doing compared to others. And who do we compare ourselves to most intensely? Often, it's our siblings. Imagine growing up knowing your older brother is destined for the very top, king. No matter what you achieve, how successful you are in your own right, how much wealth you accumulate outside the system, there's always that undeniable, unachievable benchmark. Prince William will be King of England, and Prince Harry won't. Comparison theory says that this constant, unavoidable comparison, especially when you feel the other person is unfairly elevated by circumstance, like birthright, can lead to persistent feelings of inadequacy, resentment, and yes, discontent. It might explain why someone with Harry's immense privilege can still feel so deeply unhappy and hard done by. He's not comparing himself to the average person. He's comparing himself to the one person he can never surpass in the traditional sense, his brother. And this isn't just a one-off feeling. It's a dynamic that can dog a relationship for life. You see it echoed throughout the book, the focus on relative status, perceived slights, the feeling of being the spare, not just in title, but perhaps in significance within the core family dynamic. Think about this for a moment. If you were constantly measuring your success and worth against someone who inherited a literally royal advantage, how would you feel? Let us know in the comments below. Have you experienced intense sibling rivalry or the pain of constant comparison? We'd love to hear your stories. Now, let's touch on the controversial idea of Harry being over-therapized. It's a harsh term. I know, and therapy is, for many, a vital tool for healing. But the psychiatrist presented an interesting distinction. Therapy that offers tea and sympathy and validates your feelings versus therapy that challenges you, asking, to what extent are you partly responsible for this situation? The concern raised is that Harry's very public narrative in the book and interviews seems heavily weighted towards the former. It's a powerful expression of his pain, his grievances, how he feels he's been wronged. But there seems to be a distinct lack of introspection about his own role in the family dynamics. In the rift, or in the public perception he so clearly detests. We saw it in the Tom Bradby interview, and even slightly in the Anderson Cooper one. When asked for concrete examples of Meghan being stereotyped, Harry offered, American actress, an interviewer, or a challenging therapist might push back. Is simply stating someone's profession or nationality stereotyping? What specifically happened? But that level of challenging inquiry often seemed missing. This leads to a narrative of complaint without accountability. And while it might feel comfortable in the moment to have your upset validated, does it actually lead to resolution? Many would argue, emphatically, no. It can reinforce the victim mentality and make it harder to build bridges because you haven't acknowledged the possibility of your own contribution to the problem. It's a tough truth to face, but sometimes healing comes not just from expressing your pain, but from understanding your part in it. And the public reaction to Harry's book, the widespread criticism of his perceived complaining, suggests that many people felt that crucial step was missing. Another psychological red flag highlighted is the presence of inconsistencies, claiming to deeply love your family, wanting reconciliation, yet publishing intensely critical details about them. Isn't there a fundamental conflict there? Why reveal sensitive, potentially damaging information if your goal is truly to heal the relationship? The 35 kills detail from Afghanistan is a prime example of something revealed that seemed utterly out of step with the typical behavior of veterans and potentially damaging to his own security and relationships. Harry's later explanation that he wanted to help veterans doesn't quite reconcile with the initial framing in the book, which many perceived as shocking or even boastful. As the psychiatrist pointed out, you did a thing. Why did you do that thing? And why, Sippy, did you talk about it in that specific way? There's a disconnect. This kind of inconsistency, saying one thing, love family, want reconciliation, while doing another, publishing damaging secrets, complaining publicly, can make it incredibly difficult for the other party to trust your motives or believe your stated desires for peace. It creates confusion and further entrenches the conflict. The media landscape around the royals, as discussed, is also a factor. Interviewers wanting future access might be less challenging. But doesn't a famous figure like Harry, with a global platform, have a responsibility to anticipate how their words will be received? To be naive about the spin that the media will put on things, or the reaction the public will have, seems, frankly, a bit unrealistic. Perhaps there's a deeper, unconscious need at play, a need to constantly justify his choices, his departure, his very existence outside the traditional structure. So, can Harry resolve his relationship with his family? Based on this psychological analysis, it seems incredibly challenging as long as the narrative remains focused on external blame and past grievances, without a deeper acknowledgement of the dynamics at play and a willingness to take responsibility for his own actions and their impact. His belief that he's open to a reapproachment might be genuine from his perspective, but is it based on a realistic understanding of the hurt caused and the trust broken? The stark reality is, you can't tear down bridges and then simply expect them to be rebuilt without significant effort, apology, and a change in approach from all sides, including your own. While the loss of his mother, Diana, at a young age, undoubtedly had a profound and lasting impact, and this is crucial to acknowledge, the continuing repercussions of this trauma, manifesting as sibling rivalry, the comparison effect, and a narrative of constant complaint, are perhaps being exacerbated by a therapeutic process and media environment that hasn't provided the necessary challenge or push towards self-reflection and accountability. What's truly being revealed isn't just the pain of losing Diana, but perhaps the deep and unresolved issues stemming from a complex relationship with his father, King Charles, and a lifetime of feeling like the spare in a system built for the heir. And until those underlying dynamics are genuinely confronted, perhaps the path to true reconciliation remains frustratingly out of reach. It's a heavy topic, I know, but one that offers such fascinating psychological insights into a very public family drama. What do you think is the biggest hurdle for Harry and William to overcome? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this analysis thought-provoking, please give us a like and share it with others who are interested in the deeper dynamics at play. And don't forget to subscribe to Royal Riffraff for more unfiltered takes and psychological insights into the royal family. We've got some explosive details about the T's next video topics. How Kate is handling the fallout or Charles's quiet response coming up next. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.